Welcome back to the live show. See you later, Tyler McBride.
Goodbye, Sean Pastuch.
I'll see you later.
At Tyler Blue.
Just 3 ties. I think you get it right.
Take 2.
No, we're live, right?
Yes, we're live.
Yeah.
And welcome back.
And welcome back. Larry's head is cut off on that screen. It's tight on this one. We're good.
Well, now all of a sudden his posture is much better. That's what we were talking about.
Cleary's always blaming it on somebody else. Anyway. Oh, there you go. That's better.
Okay.
Wait, so all that needed to happen was an adjustment with the camera?
That's it.
Oh,
Small
that's
adjustment.
crazy.
Yep.
Got it.
So, today, we're going to be bringing our friend, Stu Brauer, on. Stu Brauer. I don't know, we'll ask him what he prefers to be called. I call him Stu. What do you call him?
I haven't called him anything yet. I met him once, and I called him hi.
Fair enough. We're going to be talking about a bunch of things, from the idea of how to brand yourself as a gym, how to brand yourself as a coach, to the idea of should coaches actually try to make careers out of coaching. We're going to talk about, almost lost it, this book. If you haven't got the book yet, what are you doing? You can buy it on Amazon for $25, or you can get it for free by going to activelifeprofessional.com.
Well, you can't get that for free.
No, you get a digital copy. Like, we pay to have somebody print these for you when you buy them, so you can get a digital copy for
Pay
free.
$25 to not stare in your phone more.
That's true.
But don't be too mean, because they might be watching this on their phone.
Sean's offering him double win with this.
It's true.
Get you away from your phone and learn some good stuff.
And the punctuation there's good, because Larry edited it to make sure it sounded like me still, and that it was...
I kept it bad enough that people would still believe you.
Did you? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even know if that's true.
Oh, I understand. That's why I was the one doing the editing, and you were the one just...
So I want to start up by, remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you like this kind of show, subscribe to it, because will they get an update when we run these?
They will, and if they also hit that bell for notifications, they are going to get a
Massive
update
dopamine
every
response.
single time we go live.
Do the kids say smash that bell? Is that how that
You
works?
smash that like button.
I've been
Smash
playing around
the
with
like.
Smang.
That's interesting. What is smang?
I don't know. It's just a grosser version of Smash.
It's a weird,
It's
yeah.
disgusting.
It's like smash and bang.
That's exactly what it is.
Look, I figured that out. Interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah. So remember, these shows are live. You can ask whatever questions you want. Drop them into the chat.
Obvious.
Yeah. Drop them into the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them as we see them start to come in. Let's start off, Larry, by talking about the sales, the book, Turn Pro. This is a book that you helped me write, both from getting the acumen of sales together and from the actually reading through it to make sure it's coherent, that it reads properly, that the grammar in there is correct. So you've obviously read through the book, you know the information that's in it. Why don't we talk to them about why sales are important?
Okay. Well, I think it starts out with the understanding that literally everything in your life is a sale. A lot of people who sell people all day long, from their friends to their family to their clients to the people in their groups to the person at the deli that they talk to once in a while, gets into our education, is at week 4 in the beginning of the education for a coach, where they first start to learn about ethical sales. Stoked about the idea of learning all these higher technical skills so they can help people solve higher level musculoskeletal and metabolic problems. And then when I ask them all what they feel about sales or what they think of, what their connotations are, they're like, I fucking hate it. It's just, this is my...
Do you ask them to start the call now?
Say it again?
Do you ask them what they think about it?
Yeah, I asked to find out from everyone, what are your connotations with sales? And every single time, about half of the population, I don't like it, I'm not good at it, I wish I didn't have to do it. And what we then reveal to them is that you've been selling your entire life. Anyone here have kids? About half of each group, maybe a third of each group raises their hand. Got it. Anytime you got your kid to go to bed without the third cookie, you sold them. If they got the third cookie out of you, they sold you. Anyone here ever tell someone to keep the bar closer to them during a lift? All hands go up. Whether or not they were able to do it is a different story, but if they tried, you
Sales
sold them.
conversation, yep.
It's a sales conversation. And people already trust you to sell them on certain things. You already sell people on certain things all the time. Anytime you cue someone and they try, you sold them. And you did it without having to convince them at all. It's because they already have a certain amount of trust for you. So the reason sales is important is whatever you're trying to do for yourself professionally or for your clients as an outcome for them, it is the conversational gateway to get the person what they want so that you can have a mutual win.
Yeah. if it's okay with, I don't have to ask permission. I want to read a short part from chapter 5. Because, first of all, I'm going to read you 2 paragraphs in a sentence. This is about the money mindset that goes into selling. And the reason I want to read this to you is I think it does a good job of kind of explaining the ups and the downs of the tone that the book will take, and also starts to allow people to formulate the value of money for them in the situation. I'll also tell you that this morning I was helping a woman enroll in our foundations program who's a gym owner, and her father, this is the woman I was telling you about last week, her father's been a martial arts instructor for like 30 years. And turns out he read the book. And when he started telling me about what he learned from the book, this is the part that he told me he remembered the most. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad that you read that. And I'm helping your daughter enroll in our program right now. So you'll understand in a second. I'm going to read you the first page from chapter 5, which is money. It's about developing the money mindset. If I gave you $1 million, what would you do with it? Would you buy 100 kilos of cocaine and blow it off a stripper's cleavage? Unlikely. Would you waste it all on a crazy party with a celebrity guest? Definitely not. Would you turn around and buy a Lamborghini and a sweet Rolex? Maybe, but that would probably be a big waste. You would probably take that money to make a better life for yourself and the people you love. You would probably invest some of it into your business to provide a better, more professional service. Frankly, you would probably be a bit overwhelmed and not know what to do with all of it. That's natural. It's okay to be afraid of that unknown, but it is self-limiting to hide from it. If you want to learn how to sell and you want to have the appropriate mindset around what the value of it is, who you should sell, who you shouldn't sell, how to know, you can get it for free on our Instagram account. I don't know if Sean can drop the link into comments, but Sean can drop the link into comments. You can get this for free on our website. If you want a hard copy, go to Amazon, look up Turn Pro, and get it. It's a very real depiction of how I learned sales, a large part of how Larry learned sales, and I believe it will be very helpful for you. Anything to add to that?
Nope, that was great.
Cool. Want to make Stu one?
Yeah, we can. What link you want in there? You want Instagram? You want the website? What do you feel on Amazon?
Drop the Amazon link so they can buy it if they want a real book, and drop the link on our website where they can claim a free copy.
Ooh, get that free copy link in there. You got it.
Free copy link.
All right, Stu, let's bring you on in here.
There he is.
I apologize. I was busy reading Turn Pro. I was taking notes.
Perfect.
And I was making notes here because would you buy 100 kilos of cocaine? And I was like, yes. Yeah, whatever. I didn't even read the rest of the sentence. I just said yes. What's up, guys?
I don't even know if you can get 100 with $1 million. I don't know what market value is these days.
That's a great question.
I don't think I never knew market value, except for like what they talked about in the movie Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
What's your estimation?
I don't think probably not. Yeah.
Let's ask.
Too many people you got to pay off to move 100 kilos. You got to pay off people over, in the border, and like there's a lot of things that go into that. I think.
Let's see. I'm Googling. I'm definitely gonna get flagged now.
Yeah, cocaine street prices.
So
kilogram of coke in San Diego could cost 14.5.
As little as 14,500.
I like how they framed that.
Yeah. So we could get 100 kilo.
Yeah. But
Right?
we don't really want that low grade.
No, we couldn't. That'd be 1.45 million.
We get a little under.
Like 80 kilos.
Right.
Allegedly.
All right. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Get a
That's
layaway
a good way
point.
to start off.
It's a great way
this
to start
episode,
it off. Yeah. Awesome. So Stu, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Stu, you've been traveling around recently, interviewing some people who you think are worth highlighting. You came out here, you interviewed me, you flew out to San Francisco, you interviewed Kelly Starrett, you flew back to Charlotte, you flew back out to San Francisco, you interviewed Jason Khalipa. What my wife asked me, how is Stu planning to build a business off of flying around the country and interviewing people? And I said, you know what? I'll ask him.
Yeah, I've been asking myself that too. The fun part about it is, right? I don't have to make a business out of it. I make an indirect business out of any piece of content I create. And after a while, since 2015, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm really good looking, and I like listening to myself on camera ramble and rant on things. But there are other people out there that I know in an ecosystem, but I've never really gotten to sit down and have conversations. And I believe in the podcast world within our industry. We're missing a lot of like that long form conversational, not a 60-minute Zoom on one particular topic. So all these people, yourself included, are really cool enough to cut out 3 hours of their day or more to have me come on out and hang out with them for a day and talk shop on all kinds of different topics that probably hasn't hit the previous podcast circuit for them. So that's kind of the goal. And if it turns into someone learning about me and wanting to work with me in some way, shape, or form, awesome. If not, it's just selfishly something that I like to do. The past year we couldn't travel. And yeah, I'm just fortunate enough to be in a position to just fuck off for a weekend and fly out somewhere and hang out and record it. And it's just been a lot of fun to get back to doing that.
Well, there's a few things to that. The first thing is I keep forgetting to tell you, if you send me the clips, I will post them on the regular feed. I don't need to post them in the story if I have the regular clip. So I'd be happy to do that, because I think that
100%.
I think it's a smart play by you for a few reasons. Number one is you create so much content in that 3-hour window that it makes it easy for somebody like me or somebody like Kelly or somebody like Jason to share a bunch of content that is about them, that connects their audience to their meaning and to you for bringing it out at the same time. So that's, send me a file somehow, put it into the cloud, and I'll post them all. The other thing about it is we've learned over the course of the last few years that there's nothing more important than the network. There's nothing more important than who you can call on, who you can ask a question to, who you're being influenced by. And I think that outside of like Joe Rogan and maybe a few others, Tim Ferriss and stuff like that, people who are trying to build something don't have a platform to talk about it for 3 hours. And I really enjoy talking to you for 3 hours about what I think is important.
Yeah. And the other thing, going back to, your wife's thing on that, is traveling around and there's costs associated with it. It's also a level of work I don't see anyone else doing. And that's the one thing, is I'm going to take that extra step, spend that extra money, put in the planning, not see my kid for a weekend, whatever it is, just to create content that, and if you want to keep up with me on that content side, you're going to have to, I'm trying to set the bar as high as possible.
Yes. Not only do you have to be willing to travel, you have to pack with you 2 suitcases, 3 cameras, 3 memory cards, a Rodecaster thingamajig.
It's called the Rodecaster Pro.
A Rodecaster Pro. Microphone. Like, it's not just must be willing to travel to talk to somebody in front of an iPhone. So yeah, that's the replaceability factor. It's hard. What you're doing is hard to match. Cool.
Yeah, it's been tons of fun. I'm enjoying it. It's good getting back on the road. Travel's always a pain in the ass. That part sucks. And it feels like everyone but you is on the West Coast. So it's like this, like every 3-week perpetual 6-hour flight to San Francisco is like the rest of my year.
Yeah, we're not going there.
But yeah, we just need more cool people on the East Coast.
I can connect you to cool people on the East Coast. Just say the word.
Yeah, let's go. Let's start the cool people East Coast connection Facebook or text message thread.
What did you think of it?
I'm just thinking of what's it called when you have letters that stand for something else?
An acronym?
I'm just thinking of an acronym for Cool People East Coast Connection. Seeing how that looks
Not good.
in my mind. Not
CPEC?
strong.
Not strong.
CPEC.
Not strong.
Not strong at all.
We'll play around with it.
So I spent the last few days listening to your stuff for a few reasons. Number one, I like the way that you put stuff into the universe. You know that. I like I'm going to slap you in the mouth a little bit, tell you my version of what I believe the truth to be, and then you can do with it what you want. Something I think is really cool is how you've been open recently about the way that you've changed how you share your branding with other people. The fact that it used to be, I create all this stuff, I spend all of this money, I put it out into the world, take it, just don't be lazy about it. And that, so first of all, can you talk to that? What does it mean to take somebody else's stuff, put it through your own branding machine, as you would say, and spit out your own version of it. What is the difference between that and Photoshop?
Yeah, so it's what I look at, good artists borrow, great artists steal. But what all intrinsically good artists know is that you cannot just be inspired or steal from one source, because you're just going to have that one. You're going to look too much like a replica, and it will, by nature, you won't be able to create anything new. However, if you look at a bunch of different sources out there in the world and you take inspiration from a bunch of different sources, steal a little bit from a bunch of different sources, throw that into your fucking mixing pot and mix that up, you end up generally coming out with something new and unique. So when I put something out there for the world, I was literally, we've got a new video getting ready to come out, and I had to create a compilation of all the people that have ever been ratted on to me who have blatantly stolen a logo or whatever. And it was one of those things where it's just like, man, if it's that easy, like if you just looked at one thing and you just took that one thing, that means you didn't really spend much time looking around. Because as much as I might think my stuff's cool, there's better shit out there. And when you mix it with a bunch of other stuff, it's going to actually get really special. So it's like, how lazy do you have to be to just be like, stop at one guy's stuff, be like, oh, that logo? Yeah, the fucking thing's dope. I'm going to take that. And be like, really? You're not going to like look around at the 30 other brands I can name off the top of my head that are doing an amazing job with unique, niches in the market and all that. So but again, that's the same individual. The reason they're having to steal that one thing is because they're floundering around in their own brand identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know what makes them special. And I have empathy for it, because I think it's more of an act of desperation than it is trying to be an actual thief.
Mm-hmm. We have a client who steals some of your stuff. I recently found out about it because he puts it through his own branding machine. Brad Schneller runs a podcast called. Yeah, well, it's a good show. He calls it probably the best fitness and nutrition podcast.
I love it. And I don't know him probably, but there is magic, I believe, in the naming convention of probably in a title like that. Good job for you, Brad.
And he doesn't. It's not all over his website. Probably the best workout in. It's not. He's not taking exactly what you did and doing it with everything he did, but he is taking some of the branding and making it his own, which is what you're looking for.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So. Anything you want to say? You're enjoying the comment?
Carlsberg, the beer does that too.
Yeah, Carlsberg does it.
Carlsberg's tagline is probably the best beer in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw it originally. One of the guys that I do consulting with in the brand design, he was in New York City, and it was a cafe, little shithole small cafe in New York City, and it just said probably the best cafe in this city, and it just was just so subtle, and I was like, and what it was is the word probably. Because everywhere else we go, how many CrossFit gyms and micro gyms have, South Atlanta's premier fitness facility, right? Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, that's a heavy bird in the bear, being the premier fitness facility in an entire city. Mm-hmm. I'd just rather be probably the best thing for some people, not even all people, just some.
And the other thing about what you just described is all aspects, like the building, the decor, the coaches. The workouts, everything, the best of everything.
Yeah, and every brand has raving fans. There are people who are literally like, they probably are getting that Active Life triangle tattoo somewhere on their forearm in the future. Like, they are raving fans. Sure. Active Life is the best thing ever. But I'd probably say the majority of customers don't have that. That's not how they would actually describe Active Life to someone else. They would say they do this really good, they do that really good, but like very few people stand up and go, they are the best in the world at this thing. That's, again, I just think that's tone deaf marketing from people who don't understand that you have to brand and market in the lexicon and the layman's terms that your avatar customer would speak in.
I've never heard of it put as tone deaf marketing. I love that. That's really
Thanks,
smart.
Larry.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that Stu does really well that you've been doing for us is building that lexicon. It's building that. What is your language? You're saying you're shrugging your shoulders.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I'm glad to hear that I have something in common with Stu, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you defined Turn Pro, and I was just on a podcast earlier today with DJ Hilliard, the MyFit podcast, and he was like, what does Turn Pro mean? I'm like, allow me to pull it up because I don't want to say anything that's off. Like, it's a really good definition. I want to get it right. And he designed it. So I think that when people start using your language, it becomes powerful. It's kind of what CrossFit did. They made them go in a way.
And Larry has that skill. And if you see any of his skits, you know, like when you're scripting out your skits, you're saying exactly how I would picture a client responding to the personal trainer douche, right? Like you just have that. And some people have that really like ability to talk at this level that people can easily download and digest it. And other people, you ever see them write an email to you like, "Dear Sean, comma, to whom it may concern." It's like, that's not how you fucking talk. Like, it's just not how people speak words.
So what's fascinating about what you're pointing out is that I wasn't aware of the feedback from Coach Gary. Made me realize, because frankly I haven't been a CrossFit coach. Group fitness is a space that I've just had the fortunate opportunity to learn about through Sean and a lot of other people in this space. But I cannot believe the sheer volume of commentary about how familiar that is for so many people, which is a separate conversation. But to your point, for so many people to say, I see and hear exactly what you're talking about every single day is fascinating. And I think that if you could do that intentionally, then you got some gold going on, which I think is what you pointed out.
I agree. Essentially, we were talking about this when I came in and visited, and we were getting drinks or whatever. You're a big fan of stand-up comedy. That's what those guys do. They take words about topics and they bring them down to a level that people can enjoy, digest, consume, laugh, debate, whatever it is, and they just make it much more universal. And their job is to take the tone deafness out of it. But to the degree that once you do that, you realize that you're going to go 51-49 on the upsetting people or not.
So I want to come back to 51-49 in a second. Because I actually heard Tom Segura talking this morning about his process. He's a stand-up comedian who I really like. And he was talking about how, like, they'll call him, Netflix, and say, "You want to do another special?" And he's like, "Not yet." Because when he was younger in his career, Dave Attell, he asked Dave Attell, like, should I do like a special? And he's like, "Do you have an hour that you love?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, well then not yet." So he tells them no to the special until he's been able to talk to people he knows, he likes, he trusts, and tell them stories and see if they find the story interesting. If they find the story interesting, then he figures out how to make the interesting story funny. Then he goes on the road with it. Then he does it on a special, which I thought was interesting, because you're not like, what's a word I could use for this? No, it's like, let me talk about it, and then, oh, that was good. It sticks.
Yeah, flush it out. I mean, it's somewhat the inverse when I'm trying to get young content creators to get going. You need quantity in the beginning and speed, and you need them just to put garbage out at first. Because remember, there's the two scariest buttons: record and then upload. And I just need to get you reps figuring that shit out. And then once you have a good platform of like, okay, people know me for this thing, now I only want to put out quality stuff. I don't have to go at the speed of light anymore. I just put out stuff for the sake of putting it out. But yeah, no, that's super. What was that? Was that on his podcast?
Yeah, Two Bears, One Cave. He had a guest. I forget who the guest was today. I was talking about it before with you guys. But whatever.
I'm making a note. I'm going to listen to that later.
It's the most recent episode. It was good. It was a very insightful, like, because the other guy was a joke teller, and Stu is a storyteller. Not Stu. Tom is a storyteller, and they were talking about the difference between preparing for a show where you're telling 61-minute jokes, as compared to a show where you're telling one 60-minute story. It was interesting.
Yeah.
So
Larry, did you end up watching that Bo Burnham thing?
No, I started and I was like, this is not going to be funny.
It's insane. I mean, like, you just have to watch it for the creativity of it and realize that man, whatever money Netflix paid him, is going to go to his therapy sessions, because he definitely lost his mind at least 5 times in making that.
But that's why I don't want to watch it.
Wow.
It's incredible, though.
I'm not into people breaking down like that. It's good.
It's absolutely the most artistically creative thing I've seen in a hot minute.
Man, that's saying a lot.
All right. Maybe I'll watch it. You mentioned 51-49. I listened to your podcast. I think it was the one you did with MDV on the intro. And you were talking about...
It was 16 minutes, 39 seconds.
No, that was his personal one.
Oh.
You were talking about, if you want to have a scalable model, you got to be careful to not be 51-49. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we were talking about. I think I was referring to other companies that do mentorship.
Yeah, you were referring to Chris Cooper, and you were referring to all these companies that kind of toe the line a little bit because they don't want to turn people off. And you were describing that because you are an entrepreneur who owns a job. If Stu Brauer gets hit by a bus, what the fuck, Jim talk? also
bye-bye.
gets hit by a bus. Yeah. But I want to challenge you on it because I think that you can be 5149 and build a scalable business that includes a lot of other people.
You definitely can go 5149 and scale your business.
Can you describe 5149?
Yeah, so 5149 is just this idea that you're going to talk or be about something that is going to be polarizing, where it probably won't be an even split, but it's pretty damn close, where as much people who love your thing, just as many people hate it, which is required for that kind of level of scale. You have to have pagans. Part of your brand, one of your 7 primal elements of your brand needs to have pagans, haters, doubters, because all that means is that you have officially taken drawn a line in the sand or stuck a flag in the dirt and said, this is who I am and what I stand for and what I don't stand for. Because it's those statements. Like if I go off on a video about the dog, or I did one the other day about moms who wear the baby while they're coaching at a gym, and I think that's fucking silly. And so whatever, that's my opinion, but I know that's gonna slice it pretty thin. 5149 when you talk about moms and their kids, and yeah, that's gonna be rough. But anyway, going to that. My main thing on the scale of it, I think you can scale. It's going to require much bigger. You got to have a way bigger reach, so that your 51 or 49, whichever one is positive for you, has the numbers you want. But if you're smaller, when I say smaller, your influence is smaller, and you split 51-49. That can be tougher depending on what your business aspirations are and what the economic engine of that business needs in order for it to quote unquote hit scale.
Do you think, though, that someone can build this business, get it to scale, and then be like, all right, now we're going to be 5149?
I think you could, but then again, you've got there's going to be brand trust issues there. If your brand's never really done a thing that's been polarizing and all of a sudden you came out with it. I actually had a great conversation with Cleep about this. I share with Jason how I lost a licensee application because they thought I'm too polarizing of a figurehead. And I asked him, I said, I just want to, what's your take on that? You know me well enough at this point. And we went back and forth on it. And he's like, and I don't even try to be, he's like, I'm probably the most vanilla out of everyone. Like, I don't say anything that's polarizing. Like it's super easy, but there's also times where I want to, he's got to bite his tongue on certain topics because that's the brand he's established. He is, he's not 5149 on topics. He's cool and easygoing, kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I think that would be tough for you to go ahead and eventually, if all of a sudden he came out today and he got on IG and he was just like, if you have dogs in your gym, what the fuck is wrong with you? That would be, I would hang out in the comments tonight with a glass of whiskey and enjoy that thoroughly.
Yeah, I agree. So then how does a business start 5149, achieve scale? Because what you're describing, I agree with. In order to be a 5149 kind of business, you need to start that way and achieve scale through it.
Knowing that when you're 5149 and you're small, and let's say 100 people represent your 51, the thing you believe in, right? Your pagans are the 49. Well, your followers, if there's 100 of them, trust me, there's another 500 and then another 1,000 and then another 5,000. You need to really figure out what about your 51, the people who are buying into your thing, what is it really? It's not your message about the dogs in the gym. It's not, what is it really? Right? Like when I get someone who signs up and does consulting with me over somebody else, I always ask them, why did you pick me? That's like my first question when I get a call with someone. Great, cool. I'm assuming you didn't watch your first WTF Gym Talk video yesterday and be like, I got to talk to this guy. So why now? Why me? And the why me is always, I want someone to cut it to me straight, and I don't think you're going to bullshit me. From everything you put out there, I feel like at least when I get on these calls, someone's going to, with constructive criticism, put their foot in my ass, and that's what I need. So I've really been able to dial in, and that's the one thing I'm able to do, and that's what I continue to do, and that allows my 51 to grow.
How often did they say Sean Pastuch sent me? I'm just going to do what he says.
More often than not.
That's good. Yeah, that's what I figured. We do send a fair number of people your way who I'm like, look,
I love the fact that we've gotten to collab and work with other ones. I was telling Jason, I do consulting with one of his licensees in Atlanta, and it's super cool to not have to not stay out of certain camps, kind of scenario due to networking.
One of our most successful gyms, who we work with, also works with you, and this is David and in Durham,
Courage Fitness Durham.
Yeah, they're doing a great job, and he's like, yeah, we use Stu for all of our copy because why would we write our own copy when he does a really good job, and we think it's driving a lot of people to our website.
The dude's great. I had him on the How I Broke This segment of my podcast to share about him opening up too many locations. He's just one of the more humble. He's smart, but he's humble. He doesn't mind talking about his mistakes. He's just a great dude.
Yeah, he is. So can we talk about something that I think we are 80-20 on? 80
Sure.
being 80% of people disagree with us and 20% of people agree with us. And I think you're in the 80 camp.
Okay.
And that is that coaches can and should and must build careers if they're ever going to be any good.
Correct. And this is where, and again, there's nobody in the world I enjoy debating more than Sean Pastuch.
Well, because we can have
it's a worthy opponent. And so here's my deal. I've made statements, and I think I did something recently on a podcast or something. I think you referenced, you shot me a text the other day about the coach for life. And I believe if you're going to become a coach and you're a coach right now, you need to be thinking about being a career coach forever. Like, because that's going to allow you to invest the time and the money to become the best coach you can be. However, I also realize human beings are very fickle, and our desires wean and wane as we grow and we get married, or we want to be more managerial, or now I want to coach coaches, and now I want to create a coaching course. And I do believe people will evolve and have an ascension of how they want to deliver that. But it all has to start. Like when I was a CrossFit gym owner and I first got into CrossFit, I was like, I'm going to be the best CrossFit coach, period. I went and was studying shit that other people were not, right? When I became a gym owner, every day I went into like, how can I make this better for the customer? I wanted to be the best gym owner. I think you got to have that foundation. I was just also saying in my content that, yeah, but is it realistic that you're probably going to actually be a coach forever? I believe most people are going to want to ascend and do something different just due to human nature. But those who don't, that want to be the Mike Bergers of the world, they want to be the Eric Creasy's of the world, they want to continue coaching forever, they're going to have that option. I just think it's going to be the minority of people who will actually, at 60 years old, still be a coach.
I don't think Mike Bergener or Eric Cressy are still primarily a coach.
Oh, they're 1,000% a coach, but they're 0.001% of the coaching population. I'm saying the minority of people will be career coaches.
I'm saying I think they're more business owners than they are a coach right now.
I think they have other vehicles, and they obviously have courses and seminars and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, Mike still coaches in his garage at $150 an hour, right? Eric still takes top end. I mean, you're gonna be probably a professional baseball player or something like that to work with Eric. But like, they're still technicians. And they're constantly refining that craft. Yes, they've been able to parlay business things on it, books or courses or seminars or whatever that looks like. But I mean, I believe most people will hang up the coaching hat at some point and then take it into some kind of managerial, attached, adjacent, entrepreneurial thing that has to do with their coaching. And that's just me looking at human nature and like, what you're really excited about when you're 29? I don't care how excited you are about it. You probably just statistically will not be as excited about it when you're 52.
So there's a few things there I want to touch on. One I definitely want to bring you in for. The first one is, in one way, I agree with you because I've actually used the word ascend through coaching in your presence, Larry. And Larry's been like, is it really an ascension though? Like, and we've discussed that, and I would love for you to touch on that in a moment. The other side of it is, if you graduate medical school and you're 27 years old, what's the difference between someone who's a doctor and someone who's a coach? That doctor's not looking to eventually run the hospital. They're not looking to get into marketing. They're not looking to getting into starting their own medical school. They did this to be a doctor for the rest of their life. And I think that the biggest difference there is income, predictability of income, the freedom that being a doctor provides, the freedom that being a coach does not. And so I think that if we fix that, we get a lot more people who get into coaching as a meaningful career. But I would love for you to talk about the ascension stuff.
I would love for you
agree
to
100% with that.
I would just love for you to answer that. And then and if you could answer it all at the same time, I think I would agree. Semantics of ascension, we talk about, I don't know if this is relevant, it's just understanding, have we had a large enough sample size of coaches who have made $100,000 to $150,000 a year to determine how long does someone want to stay a coach? Like if you could punch in and out Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and you're a punch in and out kind of person, and you deliver excellent service and you make $100K a year, are you bummed about that? I don't know if you've had enough people who have done it.
No, I agree. And I think whether it's 100K, 150K, 70K, the value of money changes drastically. And we could probably say between your mid 20s to like your 40s, like how you view money, how you view wealth, that whole thing, assuming most people, there's some life occurrences, buying homes, getting married, kids, all that kind of thing. But going back to what Sean said, you're right. I think if the dollar amount changes and just like what you guys are roaring after, why I'm such a huge fan of what you do, and the fitness professional can be at the same tier as a lawyer or doctor, I see that. But even doctors, like most doctors, like, they might be your GPP and they might stay GPP for the majority of their career. It's because the paycheck works and the work's fulfilling. Compensation and fulfillment are at the same height. But also some of them might become the director of that department in oncology, and lawyers are going to become a partner, and they're going to have 7 paralegals working for them underneath them. They're not doing the grunt work that they did in their first 10 years in the technician craft.
Totally. It's the evolution. I was going to make fun of you and say it was the GP, not the GPP that's fitness. But I got the shush from him, and I got the arm slide from him.
No, I laughed.
Oh, you laughed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I laughed too, but I'd rather just him finish the fucking thing.
I agree with that. What you're talking about is the evolution of the way that they coach, the evolution of the way that they doctor. So the doctor who ends up with the interns underneath him, who ends up working at the teaching hospital. They end up being a doctor at Johns Hopkins because they want students to come through. They want to teach the students and still practice medicine. One of the things that's actually happening in the medical space right now, which is good and bad, is big hospitals are buying up small doctors' offices because these doctors are not business owners. They're doctors, and they're like, I don't know how to be a business owner. I don't want to be a business owner. How do I get a patient? How do I bill them? The hospitals are saying 401k matching, health insurance, salary. It's yours. Just give us your clinic. I'm like, oh, and we'll pay for the clinic. And doctors are like, yeah, okay, that's good. And I think that speaks to doctors want to be doctors, but the business part of it gets in the way. And I think that the big... Go ahead.
I got a question for you guys, because you guys see the data all the time. It's for the group fitness coach, let's call him the general practitioner, doctor, that kind of thing. Do you think long-term they're going to have to specialize? Because like a doctor at some point, like you become good enough, you get to pick the cases you want, right? A lawyer, you get to pick the cases you want. Where for someone in the group fitness level, after 20 years of cueing elbows up, crease hip below the knee, it's also where in the private sector can they go to start working on more interesting cases?
Mm-hmm. Well, you get to pick the cases you want if you have your own clinic and you decide what you want to be. If you work in a hospital, you get the cases you're assigned, right?
Yes and no. Like if you specialize in neuro, you're only going to get neuro cases.
Right. Got it.
But I think
we watched House, and House always got to he said no to everybody except for people had sarcoidosis or whatever.
Well, and that's obviously how medicine works.
Yeah. Duh.
Isn't that a documentary?
Everyone knows that.
And I've only played doctor, so I don't know anything more than that.
And I was a fake doctor.
Nailed it.
I mean, look, I never went to medical school. I was a chiropractor. I loved it. I thought it was valuable. Anyway, the other side of that is I think it breaks down to money a lot. And then it breaks down to, you're right, people are fickle and their interests are going to change. And so what I think is important is that if you own a gym business, and coaching is the value in that gym business, which it's not everywhere, by the way, and that's okay. If coaching is the value, then I think it's incumbent upon the person who owns the business to be transparent with the person they're hiring. We either do or do not believe that there's a career path here. So we either are or are not going to carve one out for you. And then it's the coach's responsibility to say, what's the value here if it's not a career path? That I think is important.
And most micro gyms, one of the big issues I run into, especially when I create a comp plan, is that there is a ceiling. You're probably not going to have a GM at a micro gym, average one, making $120,000 a year. It's just not going to happen. Now, with what you guys are teaching, you are essentially, again, this is a knife, and I've got it real sharp for you. You've got a spear back here, and that thing's sharp as hell too. And you guys will learn how to eat what you kill. But in any sales role, right, that's the one trajectory or vertical in business. If you're in the sales team, you pretty much don't have a ceiling on your earnings. right? For the most part. So like, I like training these guys to sell, just like the book, and giving them the tools to have a different service than the average micro gym down the street. But that's all to be, like you said, like being honest with people and say, hey, listen, I've got this brick and mortar thing here. The highest position besides me is going to be operations manager. But as a coach, you could technically, train this many people, make this much money. Here's some case studies we have of people making 150K, blah, 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 blah. And that's what the future could look like for you as a professional coach. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I think the important thing there is, and I'll answer your question about specialization in a second, learning how to manage your money. Because the mistake now becomes, I'm making $150,000 a year, so I can live a $150,000 a year lifestyle, which means you need to coach forever. And eventually you're like, I don't want to do the same thing. Even like, no matter what the career is, people oftentimes, it's like when you see someone still doing their job in their 70s, you're like, that person must really love their job. Because
and
it's
in sales,
an anomaly.
when you're commission based, again, like trainers who are selling packages and then servicing them are in sales. And I mean, when I was in Global Gym, we used to tell our guys, if you're making $80K a year, include with your commissions, live off of $40,000 a year.
Yep.
Like cut yourself in half. Dude, if you're making 100, don't live at 100, live at 50.
Right.
And because again, your sales cycle will hit like everyone else. You're going to go cold and not sign anybody up, in 6 weeks. It's going to happen.
So when it comes to the specialization, yes, I think that in order to maximize your income as a coach, or as anything really, you need to specialize. You need to specialize. Like the GP who sees patients, any kind of patient, they need to specialize in the way that they see that patient in order to charge a premium for their services and to have a wait list for new patients. The coach ultimately needs to see everybody at first, decide who they're good at, decide what they like, and then specialize and go deep in that thing. And for a lot of coaches, when we work with gyms, what we do is most of the people that are ascending were coaches first, because no one started working at their gym as an operations manager. It just doesn't, micro gyms don't have that in their business plan. So what they typically do is they look at, okay, by the time we're done with them, they have 3 departments: operations, sales and marketing, coaching. Coaching can get paid more than what they do in terms of their hourly based on retention. So they're getting paid a stipend salary to get the gym to 6%, and then they get a bonus every percentage point that they improve the gym down to 3%. Operations gets bonused on a profit share. Are we hitting our margins? Are we hitting our goals? Great, here's your piece. And sales and marketing get paid on a commission. Coaches who are in the gym can make their revenue coaching class, and then coaching one-on-ones, and then coaching people online, and then building out other programs if it fits within what the gym wants to design. And ultimately, a lot of them decide they want to go do something in a professional way where they own a business that is a coaching business. And now they start having other people work underneath them. Because I think what you're describing there is the entrepreneurial journey. We all start off doing something for somebody else, or most of us do. You worked in commercial gyms. I worked in commercial gyms. He worked in commercial gyms. That's interesting. I didn't put that together till just now, but we all did. And then it's okay, you own your own gym. I own my own gym. He owns his own coaching business. And then it becomes, okay, I don't want to do all of the things. I need someone else to help me with these things. And you stop selling your time for money, you start selling other people's time for money. And then you start selling your money for money. And then you start selling other people's money for money. That's how Robert Kiyosaki would spell out the entrepreneurial journey. But I think that if we don't have coaches go into the field, beginning with the belief that there is a career here, I can do whatever I want with this, and if I decide to leave it, I can, then we stunt the interest that coaches have in actually being good at it. And that, I think, is where we get dangerous as a fitness community.
I agree. I mean, you're still coaching. This is an ascension of coaching conversation, and where it goes to, you get the experience, and you're selling your time. But then after a while, you get in, whether it's consulting or coaching coaches or coaching teams, whatever it is. But it's essentially, that's what you leverage it beyond that, is you leverage the experience you have from doing your 10,000 Malcolm Gladwell, like your reps, right? And then you can parlay that into whatever the hell it may be next. But yeah, is it still coaching? Sure. But yeah, I get thinking of that podcast because I said the same thing. Like, if you're going to be a coach, you better niche the hell down and be the best sliver of that niche possible to continue to make the kind of money you want and be relevant in the industry. Because I think that's what a lot of us want. You see professors who write books, right? Like, you want to be relevant in the industry. Like, if you've done something for 20 years, you'd want people to know who the fuck you are, like, and have a legacy at a certain point.
Totally. Was there anything you wanted to add to that with Stu?
Nope.
I want to open the floor. If anybody has questions for me, for Larry, for Stu, go ahead and drop them into the chat right now. We will answer them in real time. While you're doing that, I have a question for you, Stu, that's unrelated. I don't know if you know about this yet, but did you see who IHRSA, International Health and Racket Sports Association, just named their new CEO?
New CEO? Yeah.
Do you know?
Hot take section coming in.
Yeah, well, we're welcoming Stu to the hot take. So they just named their first ever female CEO, which is okay, great, really cool, awesome. Women, great. Everyone, hire the best person. The problem is, at least in my opinion, and I'm interested in your opinion, her former job was lobbyist for the confectionery industry. So the last major accomplishment that she had was getting confectionery production to be an essential service during the pandemic. As if we weren't a overweight enough and sick enough country already, the woman who now is supposed to represent fitness was previously representing sugar to Congress. Your thoughts?
If anyone's familiar with IHRSA and the whole, every gym owner's gotten probably an email about the $30 billion Gym Relief Act.
Yeah, the Gyms Act.
Yeah, that's the company that's pushing that thing fat through. I mean, IHRSA, like, if you look at who's on the board of that organization, you're talking all the big players, the LA Fitnesses, like everyone who got fucked really hard during the pandemic.
Which is interesting because it's not how they started, but yeah, go on.
So even TSI, who had a horrible fall from grace during the pandemic, that's like Boston
They had a
Sports
fall
Club.
from grace.
started long
They had a fall
before
from
the
grace
pandemic.
way before the pandemic. They just didn't know about it yet.
But eventually hit on paper. They were standing on one broken leg, and eventually that came down. But it's just interesting if you really look into every gym owner. I talk to guys like, man, I'm super excited for this. I'm like, here's the deal. I'm not excited about it, but I would tell you, I don't see any representation at that organization at the board level. The people who are going to be putting that Gym Relief Together Act that represents anyone in the independent industry whatsoever outside of the giant conglomerates. So, like, I don't know if you're going to have a voice. I don't know if the money's ever going to trickle to you. And to be honest with you, my bet is this is some kind of lobbying BS house of cards that's going to get a bunch of these guys bailed out and paid for organizing this relief fund.
Yeah, I think the way the commercial gyms need to look at this, the Gyms Act, the way I would be looking at it if I was a gym owner right now. If you get money, that's a great bonus. But you own a Cessna. The government didn't bail out Cessna owners. They bailed out Delta. They bailed out United. They bailed out US Air. They did not bail out the Cessna owners. And the people who are asking for the money own Delta, US Air, and United, not Cessnas. I think that's an important thing to think about.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the idea that fitness is like, yeah, you know what's a good idea? Let's hire the woman who lobbied for sugar right before this.
Yeah.
Here's the thought. Do you think it matters, or do you think that, like, do values matter, or are the values that matter that she has the skill set to get it done?
Me personally, it doesn't bother me as much that she was selling the sugar crack products and doing that whole thing. If as a CEO, because again, most CEOs will bounce, like, again, good ones will, what they call like a grow CEO will bounce around from company to company, fix the problem, grow it, exit, move on to the next thing. They're like what do they call those in the NFL? The journeyman who just bounces around from team to team. If she's got the skill set to do what it is that they need.
Jim Crow was a good example of that in our space.
Yeah.
Good, smart business guy, grows the business.
Yeah. Jim's a great example of that. So I don't know. I don't know what the skill. I don't know. I don't even know anything about the former CEO to say enough about it, like what it was that really they're trying to replace him with, and maybe she's got it, or maybe she checks the female box, or maybe she just has the lobbying, ability that they are going to need to get this $30 billion Gym Relief fucking fund pushed through. But yeah, no, the sugar thing doesn't bother. Like on an ethics side, it's one of those things where if you're the CEO of a company, I guess if you're like, hey, I can't get behind sugar because I'm against sugar. No one's against sugar. Like motherfuckers, you eat cookies. Like we all eat cookies.
You ever tasted
Like, no one's against sugar. I think what the idea of it is, though, is because we do look at how much Coca-Cola and these companies jam things down the public's throat into these. It only takes you like to watch one documentary on obese kids, and then you hate sugar until someone offers you a cookie. And you're like, well, okay, that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I would have to look into more like her like what is she bringing to the table? What are they looking to do with her to give a good answer on that? But initially, the sugar thing doesn't bother me if she's a strong player and can do something decent with that organization, which I believe has the ability to do some really cool things. They just never really have.
I think the question is it actually ever about the individual, or is it about a role, a part of a bigger system that this individual is fulfilling? Like,
Well,
it doesn't, because if it's not her, it's just going to be someone else. And what bothers us is not that this person previously pushed sugar, it's that there are billions of people across the world who every day are having their behavior suggested upon in such a way that they end up losing control over, and they unconsciously shift their behavior to support unhealthy habits for themselves. And that's part of a much bigger picture than just this person told someone that they should.
No, my problem with it is if you hold the values that I can go on full-throated and get sugar into everybody's homes during the pandemic, you can't simultaneously hold the values that everyone should aim to be healthier.
Well, bakers are people too.
Bakers are people too. They just don't value health the same way that other people do. And now she's responsible for running the largest organization in fitness. I have a fundamental problem with that.
Well, maybe she's going to shove fitness down people's throats now.
She's a good jockey. She was riding the wrong horse previously. Maybe that's
that way of thinking about it.
Maybe, but I think that the other way to put it. Well, there's a question. The other way to put it is, if you're allergic to horses, you got to ride something different. And I could never. I don't think I could ever be the person who shoves
You're a
sugar.
good salesman. You know this. I could put you at a mall kiosk selling that shitty perfume and you would crush. You're just a good salesman. She just might be just a really good CEO or whatever the hell they're looking for. And it doesn't matter the product they put in front of her. She's going to get the job done. And most of the times that skill set exists at those high level C-suite people. They're agnostic with the product or service.
Agreed. I guess my problem is I wouldn't sell that shitty perfume. And maybe it's a projection of my own values. But so we have two people who shared in the conversation. Samantha Hirsch wrote that she's going to replace chalk with confection and sugar in all the gyms. Double bonus.
Double bonus.
What, you're not already eating chalk?
And some of those kilos of cocaine. We'll just mix a little bit of that in there too.
14,500 per, according to Google.
Hey, cocaine-addicted rats will opt for sugar instead of cocaine when offered the choice.
And they'll opt for neither when they have socialization with other rats.
There you go.
So another aside. David Rubin jumped in and said, if we consider that URSA is basically just a lobbying organization, then it's a good hire in the sense that she's been a successful lobbyist regardless whether she's a true believer or not.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess.
Not wrong.
He's not wrong. I guess.
Well, what would you do in that position?
In what position?
Ursa.
What would I do? I'd burn that piece of shit to the ground and start all over again.
I don't think they're going to like those values.
It's a pile of shit. Ursa's a pile of shit. It's, again it goes into the fitness industry is a disaster. And I've been posting about this, that the future of the fitness industry doesn't use the word fitness, and it doesn't use the word coach because both of them have been devalued. They've both been stripped of all of their value. And URSA is a big reason why. And this is why when we talk about, like, Eric Rose is out there talking about support the Gyms Act, support the Gyms Act, support the Gyms Act. Maybe he knows something that you don't know and that I don't know and that Larry doesn't know and that Sean doesn't know, Stu. I think it's a bunch of small plane pilots who are going to come out and be like, support the airlines, support the airlines, support the airlines. And when that money comes down, they're going to jam it right through their ass into the mouths of the airlines that actually lobbied.
Yep.
That's what I think is going to happen.
I don't think it's going to be a good thing for the small gym owner. I'm all for anything that's going to keep somebody kind of hanging on optimistically. I guess psychologically I'm good for. Like, everyone needs a little light at the end of the tunnel. But at the end of the day, if you're really hoping on a government bailout, that light at the end of the tunnel is actually the end of your life. It's not it's not
a train.
relief on your currency.
It's
the train coming.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any questions coming through. So, Stu, where can people find you? What do you want people to know?
What do I want people to know? Everyone can find me. Just Google WTF Gym Talk, and it'll lead you somewhere. And enjoy that. Enjoy the content. Hit me up on Instagram with a DM anytime you got a question. What do I want people to know? I want people to know that. Here's how I look at it. I truly believe the number one investment to make in the business is HR. You know, like you having these amazing guys on your team. The second thing is an increase in business acumen, right? Which is obviously what you guys offer, what I offer. There's a lot of people that offer it. Anyone listening to this, the reason you're not making as much money as you want, one of the reasons is you don't know enough shit. You're just not smart enough and knowledgeable enough in this business thing. And there's no going back to school to get your MBA on this or anything. There's no going back. So moving forward, either start following all the people like us that put out free shit, or next time you're thinking about spending X amount of dollars on that new Rogue Echo bike, whatever, invest in some kind of education that is going to make you a smarter business owner. And some of these decisions come easy. When you and me sit down and have a conversation about business, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But if you and me go speak in front of a group of 50, there's some people that are like, holy shit, that just blew my mind. And I'm like, I could have told you that in my fucking sleep. How is it you don't know that? I don't know anything that's special that you don't. I've just taken the time to educate myself on the business side. So anyone listening, like, again, if that's your weak point, invest in, I don't care if it's books, fucking course, whatever you do, but put some time and energy there.
Well, I would add to that. Books are fine.
Like that one.
But the other side of that is there's a game of speed at play. You can read this book for $25 or for free and then start applying the principles, learn from the way that you apply them incorrectly, go back and read it again, and get a little bit better at it. And in a few years, you might be a really good salesperson. Sure. If they hire you or they hire us, we're going to get there much faster. And so the question is, let's say that hiring one of us would cost $50,000, which it doesn't in either case. How much money do they not make between now and the date that they would get the information right? Is $50,000 worth the accelerator?
Yeah, the opportunity cost is a real thing. As I'm sure you know, financially starved business owners don't ever see through the lens of opportunity cost.
No,
they see through it.
I like to say you're upset for people thinking they need to be fit to join your gym. And at the same time, you think you need to make money before you hire a business coach.
Great
I gotta
analogy.
go help some coaches.
Oh, I'll see you later.
See you out there.
Later, Larry.
We don't usually go this long with the guests. I just really like talking to you. What?
He's gone.
Who's gone?
Larry.
Oh, Larry's gone, but I'm still here. Stu's still
Yeah.
here.
All right.
All right. Stu, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Always, brother. Always. Hey, great work on this, buddy.
Thank
Proud
you. I
of
appreciate it.
Alrighty,
appreciate
guys. Rock on.
See ya. All right. So
It's just you and me now.
it's just me and you and the book.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Shameless plug. I mean it. Go get this book for free on our website. I don't need to make any money off of you buying this book. The reason why I wrote this book is because I was tired of talking to people in the fitness space who were struggling to make a living, who therefore didn't put full effort into being a great fitness professional, which then pulls down the entire fitness industry. I hesitated to write this book because I didn't want people to buy it and use it to sell crappy products, which is why when you read chapter 1 of the book, you will understand that that won't work. Please go get Turn Pro. Amazon if you want the hard copy. Our website, the link right here in the comments section, if you want it for free. Learn how to sell. Whether you ever plan on selling something that costs money or not, learn how to sell. It will make everything in your life better. I'll stick around in case you have any questions. Otherwise, that's going to be a wrap for today's show. There's still a bunch of you on the feed, so we'll give you a few moments here if you'd like. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Remember to click the, what's the button? The alerts button? The bell?
Bell.
Click the bell to make sure you get reminded when we're going live. Follow me on Instagram at Dr. Sean Pastuch. Follow Larry at Larry the Human.
You can follow me.
You don't post anything anymore.
What are you talking about? I'm in the store all the time. Look, I even am over your head now.
You can follow at Super Cleary.
Yeah, look, I'm up here now.
There you go.
Look.
Yeah. All right, I don't see any questions coming through,
see any
and the followership is dropping off. So
Wow,
it's been real.
Stu really bringing the crowd,
What are you gonna do?
taking them with him.
That's why I always try to have a hot date with me. Turn pro.